What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I am joined by the CSW team, individually known as the Winning Ways LFA Jacob Lil Badger Rosales, Ben Jones, their head coach, and a gentleman who steps into battle for the UFC against Sayer Bathazera,
Yeah,
right?
Bahar Derzada.
Yeah, Bahaman?
Baha Derzada.
Okay, there you go. Curtious Millender. Guys, how are you guys doing today?
We're good, man.
Good?
Just caught us right in the middle of training, but we're good.
Uh-oh.
It's almost over. Practice
It's almost over. You're good.
Okay,
You're good.
I don't want to get
For you,
caught in
we'll
a
take a break.
We can finish.
like a collar and elbow tie up or something. I don't want to get caught in that, dude. I'm wearing a Phil Collins shirt, for goodness sake. So there you go. But let's start off with Lil Badger. You're just off a wonderful victory at LFA 54. How was that?
It was good. It was fast. I went in there and handled business.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. What did you learn about yourself in that victory?
I was sharp. I mean, I'll let him talk for me.
I think you're doing great.
It's hard to find myself. It was so fast, and I mean, I found that I had a lot of confidence going in there, which is new for me, and yeah.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, that was a really, really quick finish. So what now? Is it too early to tell, or might that be a question for Coach Ben Jones?
Coach Ben, yeah.
I think we're gonna stay pretty exclusive with LFA for him.
Okay.
That's widely known as the feeder show for the UFC.
Yes, absolutely.
I believe he's one more win like that away from potentially getting the call on the contract. I think he's ready now. I think just one more person has to suffer before the UFC basically signs him and stops him hurting everybody else that's not already in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think the time is here. He's put a lot of hard work in. He's really disciplined. His confidence is escalating, right, quite a bit. So if that keeps going, it's inevitable. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, your nickname, your moniker is Lil Badger. You are the Badger, so that's a nickname to have, and you're literally putting, your stamp of approval on Jacob.
Well, we've been training. I've been training him since he was like 10 or 11 years old. He's been in this gym, right? He's never went anywhere else, just like me. He's sort of a lifer in this gym, and we developed a pretty close bond when he was younger, and I was like right in the meat of my fighting career. And actually, I didn't give him the name, the Lil Badger. All the rest of the guys on the team, because he used to be, 12, 13 years old, and he'd be in here fighting at fight practice, and he'd be trying hard. He didn't care. He loved to do it. And they're like, man, you fight just like the Badger. Like, you don't give a shit. You'll just go in there and try to tear people up. And they nicknamed him Lil Badger, and 85 pounds or something. And then the bond just grew with us, and then became really close. And then it is where it is now.
Yeah, no, man.
He's definitely earned it at this point.
Agreed.
Almost.
I would say so.
Almost. We got a few more steps to climb, but after that.
And I'm not going to get into what steps those are. That's going to be a closely guarded secret for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty damn amazing, man. That's really cool. And again, as you said, LFA is pretty much the feeder system to the UFC, and we saw that pretty exclusively with this gentleman here to my left, the former CXF champion, Curtis Millender.
He would have been. He would have been. Yeah, he would have been, but we got signed to. Oh, CXF.
CXF. Yeah. CXF. Yeah. That's the thing on the Facebook page, right?
Yeah, that with that and my Fight Club.
Fight Club, right? Exactly. Yeah, man. So, I mean, are you seeing the same sort of things, like almost a mirroring of careers, you and Jacob?
I get it. Like I definitely get it. Like I've been training here in Orange County for about 6 or 7 years. So, and even where I was training with Lightning MMA and
James
with James Wilkes at Lightning and also at Reign with Mark Munoz, I would always hear between everybody, oh yeah, we're going over to Paulson's, we're going to CSW.
Right.
I just never made the trip over, and
Wow.
I always lived down the street. So I would drive 30, 45 minutes every morning to go train when I can drive 10, 15 minutes down the street to go train. So but timing is everything. So I
Right.
feel like I got here at the perfect timing.
Yeah.
I got here, and Ben took me under his wing, started showing me everything, and just opened my eyes to another level of Curtis. So
Yeah.
it definitely worked out.
Yeah, and you, good sir, are fighting before the end of the year, 3 days after Christmas, at the big UFC Nunez Cyborg fight. Man, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Jones Gus now.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
Jones Gus.
Wow.
Co-main event.
Yeah.
Now, how does that feel, man?
Oh, that's awesome. I've always looked up to John Jones for his his in ring performances. He's dope. He's the best ever.
Right.
And so I'm excited to share a card with him.
Yeah.
I plan to you know
Take him on.
not take him on, but definitely outperform him, and definitely get out there and get the bonus. So.
And that's something that's pretty much synonymous with your UFC career is the fight bonus. Yeah, albeit it's been a brief tenure, but I mean you've definitely made a memorable impact on the people that have watched you kind of grow from the scene, and then I mean you aspired to be in the UFC, and I mean you took the world by storm, man. That's so crazy.
Yeah, definitely, especially coming up in the SoCal, fight circuit. I say it all the time. The guys that come up through SoCal and into the UFC, those are the toughest guys. Like, we have a meat grinder, especially 55, 70, 45. We have the toughest grinder here in SoCal.
Yeah, 100%.
When we make it to the show, we go to the show and we beat people up.
Yeah,
ready to go,
absolutely. Now, since you've assumed the role of head coach, Coach Ben, I mean, how gratifying is it to you kind of seeing these guys' journey? And I mean, these are just two of the many that are here. I mean, grinding it out day in, day out.
It's real rewarding. You know what I mean? I knew when I was the captain of the team, I knew we had something special here. I knew that the direction it needed was to be really, really focused on a team concept. Eric did an unbelievable job of raising such a great group of fighters over the years, and champions of all kind. But at the end of the day, his schedule got really, really busy, right? And you just don't have that much focus to put in to these different aspects.
Right.
And I was passionate. My career was over at that point. I took a bad injury getting ready for the last Bellator fight, and I decided that it was time to retire. I was 40 years old. I didn't want to be that guy that just wouldn't retire. And I had a passion for coaching, and I had guys like Curtious and Jake that I knew I could build a team around, right? I knew that I had something here, and I just wanted to change the concept of how being as an individual sport. That's bullshit. It's not an individual sport, because nobody ever won a UFC title or a world title training by themselves in a garage.
Right.
It's impossible. You need training partners, right? You need people to help you. You need family members or a girlfriend or a friend who's helping you out with something. Nobody lives in a cave and trains for them. This isn't Clubber Lang, right? People get into this thing where Clubber Lang was I train alone, I fight alone, I live alone. It was bullshit, right? Obviously somebody's holding pads for him, he's sparring with people,
right?
And I really wanted to bring that team concept out, and I think these guys, as well as all the other guys, we got guys like Trent Moe and Javier Garcia and a host, and 25 other guys who have really bought into this concept, and it's blown up, right? Especially locally, we're taking this shit over. We're taking that. I mean, especially the amateur ranks, guys. My guys don't fight like amateur fighters,
No,
and
they
it's
don't.
due in part not only to my coaching and to my boxing coach Dale Roybal, and also the stuff that Eric Paulson passes down and comes and helps, but in big part to guys like these two, who they don't take it easy on these guys out there. They're going for it. Not only are they preparing these guys for the amateur fights, these guys are helping prepare these guys, right? And I don't want to drop off. I don't want him to not get good rounds in because they're beating people up all the time.
Right.
There's guys in here of every style that are really good, and it's really exciting to sit back. Not that I sit back, but to watch
And observe,
and watch what these guys and the team watch what it's becoming. Right, and I get proof in the pudding by every time I go corner them, and I get the best seat in the house every time, and their performances are showing. I mean, these two have definitely really taken the torch and ran with it, and I mean, you can see in his career and even his career as of late, people don't survive with us.
No.
Right? And if they survive, they go to the hospital.
Yes.
You know, I'm not in the business, and this has been passed down to me since the beginning of my time here. We're not trying to win by decision. We finish fights, right? To steal a line from Kenny Florian, but we are always constantly looking for the finish. And that gets into the concept behind catch wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Crank, rip, and tear.
Yes.
Right? Crank, rip, and tear it off. And whether we're doing that with our striking, which both of these guys are really excelling in right now, or our submission, which he got a really fast submission last time. It's happening, and these local teams, they just can't mess with us. I don't care who your coach is or what big names you have on there. You know, we're cut from a different mold now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Coach Roybal. I mean, the level of, striking, prowess in these guys and the guys on the amateur circuit. I mean, increased almost tenfold, almost night and day. It's not to say that it was at a lax point, but I mean, there's a definite resurgence in the air in the walls of CSW.
You know, CSW is. I mean, if you watch any of Eric's original fights, he was an unbelievable striker.
Yeah.
I mean, he was going to go to the Olympics for Taekwondo. So, the guy, coach is such a good striker, but he's so good at grappling that a lot of it gets forgot. And Dale was the first thing I did when I became head coach. The first thing I did was hire Dale Roble as my boxing coach here, and he had worked with Jake for a while, and I was able to watch sort of his metric. But we have other guys. Curtis has a kickboxing coach, Uchenna, who is an unbelievable striking coach. Right? He just the way he can break down techniques and the way he works on with him, it's just. I can't get enough of stuff like that. At this point, he's very busy with his schedule, but I wish I could bring a guy like him in and help us out with our all-round striking kickboxing. Now, I do a ton of the striking here too, but it's good for me to be able to sort of oversee and have people that I trust. And I have Uchenna who I can trust with him, who we're in very close contact during training camp. And I have, Dale who works with a number of the guys here. But yeah, it's reasons like that and the help that I'm open to taking from good people, right? That is really accelerating all the avenues. I mean, yesterday we had Rico Chipperelli walk in this gym, who comes in here all the time. And when you get the legend of wrestling walking in this gym, who Dan Gable called the best wrestler he's ever coached,
exactly,
you can't replace that kind of stuff. And that's what we get from Eric here. Not to mention having Eric Paulson.
Yeah.
Right, who's the legend of the legend.
Right,
exactly. So I got the best of both worlds. It's not like I didn't create this on my own, and it's not by accident.
Right.
Right? I'm just sort of steering the ship with all these great, like a bunch of great motors on the ship, so.
Yeah, it's standing in the influence of giants,
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. I mean, of course, this is pretty new into your tenure, but I mean, you've got really great cornerstones in these two. But where do you see CSW this time next year?
Right now, my pro ranks are a little bit down. I've been very guarded about the pros that I'm bringing in because I want them to really accelerate. My amateur team is gigantic.
Yeah.
I do feel like I have probably four to six guys in the amateur ranks right now that are probably right now, but for me, it's about getting these guys ring time.
Right.
And just that little experience. I got a light heavyweight who walks around at 230, who people don't survive 30 seconds with. He knocks everybody out. And these are guys that are undefeated that he's fighting. I'm going to make him fight because I want, one of the things I try to do before they go pros, I want them to win a title. Right? I want them to work for something. I want to see them cut the proper weight and do everything properly and win a title. And Zach Sautel is this guy I'm speaking of. And he's a killer. Right? His nickname's Meat, and that's, he's an animal. But I have quite a few guys. Joseph Badali's undefeated. I have Seth Davis, he's undefeated.
Yeah.
Right, I have Joey Dorado, who's not undefeated, but he's an absolute killer.
Monster. Yep.
I probably got 5 or 6 guys in there right now out of the maybe 17 or 18 amateurs I have that are pro ready right now. But it's about putting them in at the right time. So in a year from now, yeah, I mean, I know he'll be in the UFC. I have a feeling Javier Garcia could be very close. So we got, I could see us being even more dominant in a year. And I really feel like people are going to leave their teams or maybe run the chance of coming out here and trying to practice. I know if they come and train one day with me at practice, they'll be back. I run a hard practice, but you can tell other teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Curtis, you mentioned about training with Mark Munoz and other gyms, man. But how has training exclusively with CSW been pivotal in your career thus far?
Well, we've seen it. He said it earlier. We're training to finish fights, and that's all I've been doing, with the exception of the last one. And even with the last one, he was ready to quit.
Yeah, man.
He was ready to quit.
Yeah.
I'm either gonna knock you out or I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
And make you second guess.
Yeah.
Fighting anybody.
Right.
So that's the thing. I wanna mentally kick your ass too. So, but he flipped that switch, and now I'm a monster. I was already a monster. Now I'm a bigger monster.
Yeah. Just gigantic, man. It's like Rita Repulsa's. Yeah, man. And Jacob, man. Coach Ben talked about training you from, literally pre-adolescence, man. Are you seeing the results?
Oh, yeah. I've never wanted to train anywhere else because I get everything here. From my wrestling, my striking, everything. If I go anywhere else, I'm not going to get the same work over there than I do here. I have the best striker right here.
Mm-hmm.
I have the best grapplers, the best coaches. So, yeah, I definitely see it.
No, that's everybody that's on the SoCal scene, they kind of know that about you, and it's nice to know that you're awakening into that, and it's not about height, it's not fodder, it's you bring the business, so that's awesome.
There's no selfishness in this gym, which it has been the case. It's the case. You have to be selfish to be a fighter, right? Because it has to be about you. But if you remove that you try to remove it as much as possible, like, all right, these guys are super competitive, right? Like, he's always trying to take him down, and he's always trying to outstrike him. Like, that's what it is, right? And then we're constant, and I'm on these guys, like, I'm competitive with these guys, and I'm retired. I still train with them every day, but there is no selfishness. Like, they're constantly trying to make each other better, right? They go to corner each other. They only want the best for each other. You get a lot of guys sometimes, and that goes for everybody in that room. You get a lot of guys who are like, they don't really want to see anybody else succeed because truly they don't see themselves doing it, right? But these guys, especially these two, they really like, when he got signed, I called him and told him, and when I told him, he cried. Right, and we were working,
seen each other.
Yeah, and when they seen each other, they like hugged, and it was like,
that's tremendous.
For me to look at that, it's like, I saw the whole thing happen in front of me, right? When they were and when they, first it was like, holy fuck, man! Like, I knew at that moment, like, these guys aren't selfish anymore. They really care about each other, and that, I'm using them as an example, but it applies to everybody in there. Like, every time we have a fight, we have a big announcement. Everybody always goes up and gives the guy who fought a hug. Like, they really give a shit about each other, right? They don't just show up when they have fights. They show up when they don't have fights. He fought last Friday, and he's here helping him ready on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So, that's the thing. That's the special part of it, right? Yeah. And it's refreshing, man.
I've been able and had to go in and around other gyms, but again, like, literally walking in, really special, man. And I can't wait to see what you within the next year. I'll be tuning in, and you guys should
bring your glasses, because there's going to be a lot of shiny stuff around us on the wall. We'll be collecting belts.
That's it, man. What is it? Collecting checks? That's it. Yeah, man. Any parting words from you, gentlemen?
Just make sure you tune in December 29th, Fox Sports 1. I'm beating somebody up.
There it is.
Checking another name off that hit list.
Ooh, hit squad.